Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Coffee with Father James. Yeah, it's empty because we were ready to roll and I thought, oh my goodness, I forgot my coffee. And we don't have time to make coffee, so this had pens in it, so I grabbed it. So anyway, now that I've fessed up to you, I'm just gonna put it aside, okay? You may be thinking, this looks very familiar, but it's different, and that would be very true because it should be. This is the entranceway to the church at the St. Peter's location. You see the glass canopy that goes around the entranceway, and it is very familiar to you, but what's different is that 3 weeks ago, you wouldn't be able to see me because there would be a kind of a big granite rock about this big right here, right on this very spot. And you may recognize that that was the big granite rock that had the place to dip your hands in to get the holy water, or I think in the past even it was used as a baptismal font. In thinking through this space, for the sake of hospitality, of how to open it up, we did think of, we were planning on removing this glass canopy to make it a big space, move the doors into the center for soundproofing and create a space so we can be more intentional about welcoming. And we had this gigantic granite rock here, and we ultimately, for the sake both of functionality, to have more space for welcoming, and honestly for safety, we took it out. We had it removed. It wasn't functioning for many years. I know that some people were not so much attached to a piece of granite as they were to what this represented. This is St. Peter's Church, the rock, and there was symbolism in the rock. It's the same kind of rock as we find in the base of the altar, the base of the ambo, the base of the tabernacle. But yet, here's the critical thing: we've merged 4 different parishes. Some of our parishes, the previous parishes, are facing the closure of buildings. We're coming into one home, and there are some things we simply need to change in order to facilitate doing some things differently. And hospitality isn't just one thing we've got to do differently. It's one of the key things we have to do differently. We have to get it right. And right now, our immediate need is to facilitate a hospitable place that's separated from the sanctuary. So in the next week or so, this glass canopy is going to be coming down, and parts of it are going to be recycled to make a doorway into the sanctuary to provide some kind of soundproofing and also a sense of continuity with what this represented. So keep your eyes on this space. Now, speaking of hospitality, we have coming up this coming week, we're starting a new preaching series to open up the theme of hospitality. It's going to be 4 weeks. We've worked through the readings, come up with a plan, and the title of this preaching series is Guess Who's Coming for Dinner? Anyway, check that out this weekend. We're going to be starting it up, and the 3 weeks that follow leading up to Lent. Another item of news under the theme of hospitality, Jesus said, of course, I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. This parish, especially the St. Peter's location, has a long history in working with refugee families. I remember my dad was very passionate about refugee sponsorship and was very involved in it for decades in our home parish. And some of you know and remember Father Tom White, who was also very passionate about it. And my dad and Tom really agreed with each other on this and were inspired by one another. Well, in the history of refugee sponsorship in this parish, the last family that was sponsored were, and I have to look carefully to make sure I pronounce the names properly because I don't know, I haven't met this family yet, but Asa and Arij and their 4 children were sponsored by this parish, and they arrived in 2017. Now, that family now has total of 6 children. They were blessed with twins. And the good news is that as of January 26th, they became Canadian citizens. We got a picture of the family right here. So we want to wish congratulations to the family. And we also want you to know that we are in the process of sponsoring Asa's brother and his children to come into our parish. So that's, again, another key part of hospitality. This coming Saturday, we have session 2 of the Dreaming Session. We had an amazing meeting 2 weeks ago on the Saturday afternoon in person and on Zoom. And we're coming together to discuss, to pray, to discern and dream about what God is, how could God be calling us to renew this physical location in a way that would embody a value such as hospitality, but also many other values. In our meeting last Saturday, we, through a process of small groups, enunciated many different values. Our team took them together and put them into a group of seven different values. And we're going to be exploring more of this coming Saturday. So please, if you're interested in being a part of that conversation, I need you to do 2 things. Number 1, go on our YouTube channel and watch the presentation from the first session. And secondly, go and register, because we want to get you into a small group so that you can discuss particular values of how, and we're going to explore how these values can actually be manifested in a concrete way in a renewed building. Finally, speaking of hospitality, I want to speak to you about Alpha. I spoke about it this weekend, the fact that we're now doing completely online Alpha starting Thursday, February 10th. You know, at the heart of Alpha is the value of hospitality. We welcome guests in the way that Jesus did. Jesus welcomed people, he loved people, he ate meals with people so that they could get to know him and come into relationship with him. And that's exactly the dynamic of Alpha. So we would love for you to, if you haven't yet as a parishioner experienced Alpha, come and experience it, sign up, or perhaps you can think of inviting someone. If you want to know about the power of invitation, check out the homily this weekend and the video testimony that's a part of the homily. This video testimony will also be distributed on Friday in a special email to all of our parishioners. Thanks so much for being with us today. Just hang out, just stay right there. So thanks again for being with us for another edition of Coffee with Father James. Stay warm, stay safe.